iRacing.
If the drivers know of any hidden Easter eggs at this track, it'll be time to pull them out. Imola's technical layout means track position will be huge this Easter Sunday. But for now, it's time to get ready for round 3 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. You'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Jake Sperry. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Jake, getting to see these cars race here is as good as any chocolate bunny, if you ask me.
It absolutely is, and we're going to see why Imola is this amazing classic race circuit. It's a true driver's feel that they will get out today, and more importantly than that, it is going to be one where you are constantly tested and challenged through each and every single corner. There is no doubt in terms of today's action that it is going to be the driver who understands and has the best feeling with the car today who is going to come out on top.
And of course, there's lots of rich history at this Italian circuit as well, so let's get a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, but most race fans know this place as simply Imola. This circuit in the northern part of Italy has seen some of the highest highs and lowest lows in motorsports history. The various tragedies that have marred the track left no choice but to alter it in the name of safety. While it originally featured mostly fast, sweeping corners, its modern 3-mile or 5-kilometer version is punctuated by tricky chicanes and incredibly technical turns. iRacing includes the Grand Prix layout and a moto version, which adds one more chicane to the front stretch. Tamburello is perhaps the most notorious of the corners for claiming the life of multi-time world champion Ayrton Senna when it was still a single breathtaking turn. Now the Triple Apexer not only offers potential passing opportunities, but catches out drivers quite frequently. While heavy braking zones are everywhere, because few places allow the cars to get up to speed, overtaking is generally seen as an exercise in frustration. As if to almost counteract this quality, the track itself is situated in a gorgeous public park and sends the drivers through the beautifully calming Italian countryside. It also includes a fair bit of elevation change in which the track is split between the higher up back half and the lower first portion. It's no wonder that this place still proves popular with drivers and fans in spite of its difficulties in history. The Tifosi keep returning each and every time the sound of engines roar among the trees, and who can blame them? Well, hopefully the drivers are not afraid of chicanes, because honestly, that's one of the big features about this place, Jake.
Yeah, you got Tamburello through 2, 3, and 4, which was put in and necessitated, as well as the Villeneuve chicane 5 and 6 after what happened to Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger in 1994 on that fateful day. But you do have a real sense of how to build a lap around here. That opening sector is critical, but then that climb up from Tosa over the top of the crest at Piratella, back down the hill in Acqua Minerale, and over to the curve of Grassini at 11 and 12. Those are going to be some critical parts of the lap to get the chance to break away. This is one of those circuits where passing today is going to be all about the run to Tamburello, turns 2, 3, and 4, but critically, getting a good turn 15 at Ravazza is the way that you're going to make this race work for you. If you also look at the way this is going to run, it's going to be tough to pass, so qualify well, and you'll have a good chance today.
Yeah, that is job one, which they're doing right now. But before we get to it, let's take a look at the points, which is interesting because up at the top, both Zach and Audrius have each taken a win so far. So they are tied with each managing a second place as well. It is Luke Tennyson who is sitting behind, watching to see what will happen between them, if maybe he can barge into this fight. But take a look at Power and Summer. They are split by only 11 points between them after those first two rounds. It's still early, so things could definitely switch up here, but you've set the stage well if you started off with a good result. Granted, the drop weeks will often come in handy later on, but that's just the F1 driver standings. We've also got the sort of AM standings here in the F2 championship.
Those are for drivers who have got 3,000 or less iRating. So Diego Mastretta holds the control on 118 points, 13 clear of Brett Wayand and Keith Herner, who is now up into third position. Miguel Morland and Alex Raska are in fourth and fifth, just 3 points splitting them, as Harry Weir and Byron Long are sixth and seventh. Long then tied on points with Barry West, a big fan favourite for all of those around. 2 points behind then, Jesus Solagren, who is there from Spain, and Mikael Thabala then at 58 points adrift, looking to round out the top 10 there, Joe.
They also hold a teams championship in this series, and right now it is Fittipaldi Kopusukar who is up at the top. JIB Racing sits in second with Scuderia Ferrari Spa Cefac, which I think is just simply Ferrari, but they're taking the old name from back in the 70s for it. The Renault team sitting in fourth is ahead of the Warsteiner, which finally sees a little bit of a break, because look at that. 3 points between your top four shows that it is going to be a right battle for the team's championship, just like it is typically for the F1 championship here in this series. Drivers will be fighting tooth and nail to try and take this one home. But what format will they be fighting with today, Jake?
Well, 25 laps worth of racing here at the third round of the championship. This one should go about 40-ish minutes in terms of racing action. They are allowed to do whatever they like to the car so long as it passes scrutineering here on iRacing. And on top of that, if they damage the car, and it's very easy to do so at Imola with it having a lot of these anti-cut curbs around this place, there is no spare car to get you out of trouble. So if you break this car, you have bought this car, and you've got to make sure that it sets itself all in store. As a good friend of ours, good Bill Supzan, once said, if you break it, you bought it. Drive-through penalty comes through at 17 instant points, and if you go after that drive-through penalty, get 8 more instants, Joe, it's a full disqualification from the race.
Do not want to do that, especially considering there are a couple spots where it's easy to go off in the chicanes. Now, Audrius Valenteus is the other big story of this weekend. He's already taken an unprecedented 2 triple crowns in 3 weeks. He finally got his first and then followed it up 2 weeks later with another one. He's in position to do it again now, as he's won both the Lotus 49s back at Brands Hatch and then the IMSA Vintage Series over in Adelaide. But here at Imola, like we heard Jake mention, he's going to need that track position. And right now, he doesn't quite have it. He's only sitting 8th.
And he's 8 tenths down on Togo Hisada, who put a lightning 130.1 down on the board. Worth noting for the championship, no Zach Leon Hardy today, so that's going to be a drop round used at the third round of the championship. He elects to spend his Easter Sunday with his family. Big push wide through the curve of Grassini and off down the hill on a straight that isn't straight here to Ravazza. You turn just at the point you want to start braking. You've got to square it up, get into this 90-degree left. He misses the apex slightly through the first part, so he's going to have to gather it back up through the second half, and he backs out the lap. So he is way down the order. And I also note that Audrius so far this season, Joe, is 100% when it comes to having a shot at the Triple Crown.
Which is wild to think about. I wonder if we're seeing some rare times here with him maybe going for another today, but he'll have his work cut out for him. Jack David Spickett on his second lap. There's the line now. Sets a 130.5. That's 2 tenths off his previous lap. He is not going to improve. 40 seconds left. I'm seeing if anybody else is able to get home to the line from here, because Carlos Peralta has yet to set a time. What was that?
I also think Lucas Clement's going to be in the same place. He's even further. Look at that mock-up there, Jordan livery that's there on the car. In fact, Benetton World Colours.
Yeah, exactly. I love the classic themes that the drivers managed to put onto these cars. This is a little bit later than when this vehicle ran, but still looks pretty cool on the old Lotus 79. Interesting, I'm showing him with a time on in iRacing, but it's not showing up on my timing and scoring app. So let's see what this one does. 31.9 as he crosses. That's going to be good enough for 23rd. So that will bump him up. And that's good to see at least. But that is it. The qualifying is finished, and everybody who has set a time is now going to be gridding up with Togo Hisada up on the top of that grid there. So he's got a good chance to spoil the party for Audrius Valenteus. Next to him on that pole is going to be James Barry, and it's Jack David Spickett who starts from third. Matt Kendall will begin in fourth. Then you've got Ross Banfield starting P5. Sergio Fernandez will round out row 3. Marco Nermella starts in 7th. And Valenteus will have to fight from 8th if he wants to take all 3 this weekend. Gabriel Martinez will start from 9th. And Christoph Olenek will round out your top 10.
I can note that Togo Hisada has given his setup to Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar, and he says the setup doesn't work, and Kendall's responded with, you put a 90s Ford V8 in it. But Raul Rosas Guardia is in 11th with Kartik Pai 12th. Row 7 sees Cal Young and Michael Taylor, with Hans Sommer there in 15th, along with Antti Lavoska in 16th position. It's another Finn just behind in Ilkka Kotosalo. Luke Turnerson is out of position here today. He's only 18th, with David Montejuano and Matthew Cochrane making the 20.
21st is going to be Alec Cunningham. From there, Mickey Friesen starting in 22nd. He's open for a little better day today in the 79s than IMSA Vintage. Carlos Peralta, as we mentioned, 23rd, with Pablo Hoglar in 24th. And it's Shady Ahmad, P25, and Antonio Alvarez in 26. Jean-Francois Boscas, only 27 today. That's a bit far down for him. Martin Reisman in the 28th spot, then sees Ricardo Martinez in 29th and Tobias Nara in 30th. These are drivers that failed to set a time, and so did Lucas Clement, who will start at the back in 31st. Decent-sized field, especially for a track that it will be tough to overtake, as it looks like everybody is ready. The lights are up, and we wait patiently while the engines rev. There is the green flag. We go racing here at Imola, and Togo Hisada gets a very good start. You can't say the same for Jack David Spickett, who's already looking to be overtaken. Oh, and we've got a major wreck behind before we even get to the braking of the corner.
That's a massive accident. Marco Nermala was caught up in it, and all over the place. Cal Young as well, caught up in the early goings. They all had to swarm around off of the get-go, and critically, the car that was turned around the wrong way was Marco Nermala. He was forced into a 3-wide position with the likes of Ross Banfield and Sergio Fernandez, and so finding that trouble immediately. Big dramas off the start. Gabriel Martinez has done pretty decent off of the get-go as well. Valenteus already up into 5th place, but critically, it's Togo Hisada who's got the clean start he's wanted for, and now he can start focusing on breaking away in the early stages with Barry, Spickett and Kendall.
Yeah, the good news for him is that accident did give him a bit of a split, because Valenteus may have jumped up to 5th, but he's got to try and run them down now. So that took away a few cars that Valenteus has to pass. Ooh, and Martinez finds Sergio Fernandez going quite wide there out of the Alta chicane. He's going to defend the inside down into Ravazza, but Gabri is pretty far alongside. He has to back out of it. Now he's vulnerable. Look at that. That was Ross Banfield spying an opportunity.
Yeah, and Ross is the sort of driver who has driven for Udox Racing in the past, who is very, very aggressive in terms of, you find an opportunity, you sense a way to get through, but this is the key place then, the run here to Tamburello. They took out the Variante Bassa around this place to give a longer overtaking straight, more likely to get Formula Racing back. Big check up through the group, and actually just in front of them, Valenteus running a little bit deep through the early section, caught a massive slide through turn 1, so suddenly he's about 2 seconds off the back of Matt Kendall. So this has suddenly turned to 3 at the front and Matt Kendall, and then everybody else behind, 1 off there in the gravel, 2 off in the gravel. They're going to collide together in the gravel out there. Carlos Peralta then finding out that he's second to the party.
Yeah, and that was Guardia, I believe, that also was the first car that we saw spinning off. During that onboard, that was Fernandez, I think, that hit the inside curb just wrong. These drivers have got to be careful, Jake. Those giant sausage curbs and these ground effects cars do not mix.
No, because all of the ability to generate downforce is on the bottom of the car. That's why we call it ground effect, because you've got the Venturi tunnels that go underneath that effectively creates a vacuum. It sucks the car down onto the asphalt. That's where you generate the grip. It's the forefather to what you see from modern Formula One cars out there at this day and age. But critically, if you take all of that away and tip it up over an anti-cut curb, you're taking all the downforce away, so the car is only going to rotate if you go and smack onto an anti-cut curb. So that's the difference of what they have to deal with. That's what they have to struggle about with, as James Barry now setting the fastest lap, as here comes Ross Banfield looking for a way past Sergio Fernandez, who holds the defensive line and covers the move here into Tamburello.
Banfield isn't going to get him quite yet, but Sergio's becoming a little bit of a plug as Christoph is behind them. They've also got Karthik Pai, so things not looking good, as that is Montalbano with a bit of an off, unfortunately, coming through the Tamburello chicane, and that cost him a couple positions.
Tough for the Ecuadorian then, as he will drop those couple places back, and there will be more attempts to look down the inside, as there goes Montalbano, and there's going to be tire to tire off the exit then with Tobias Nara, then the Argentine. It is a Latin American flare fight out there at this moment, into the left of Piratella and back down the hill again.
So much elevation change throughout this course. Certainly need the downforce on these cars. Montalbano and Nara fighting for 18th spot as they head towards Alta, as close as Tobias is. He knows it's hard to overtake into there, and he just eases up as Williams not trying to stick his nose in yet.
Yeah, not wanting to be too aggressive. You'll see a little bit more of it, though, from behind, as Cal Young trying to recover after the lap 1 issue that he ran into. He's past Martin Reisman for position, so the Dutchman finds himself in a place where he now drops back the place. Cal Young can attack, and so too can Antti Lavoska out there running a Mickey Friesen livery out there at this moment in time by the looks of things, trying to get by Hans Sommer for position. Look at that, we've got teammates.
So they've done their best to try and take that Nissan Lotus up to the front here, but Lavoska is going to deny them yet another Finn competing in this series, which sees a ton of Finns and a lot of success for them, as that is quite wide there from Hans Sommer, and Sommer is going to have to give up the position down into the Tosa hairpin. Nice move by Antti.
Issue for Sommer is it's still spring, so he's not quite fully up to pace just yet at this point, but Friesen will note that and think, how can I find a way through, gain the advantage of what's needed over the top of the crest at Piratella to the hardest corner on this circuit. Acqua Minerale, turn and brake at the same time, jam it on, and then you've got this right up the hill, any form of slide, you've got no drive up towards the Curva Grassini here, this right-left chicane, which turns along. It's been slowed down a lot in recent years. It used to be one of the fastest and most ferocious chicanes out there, which tested and separated wheat from chaff.
Friesen still working to try and do what Lavoska was able to do, but he's going to get a good run here if he could just exit off of Ravazza. And sometimes it's easier said than done in the wake of the car ahead, but look at that, he is right there. Now he's got to hope that he's got better top end as they weave along the not quite straight front straight up towards the braking of Tamburello, covering the inside. Hans Sommer does not want to lose the second position in 2 laps. He brakes deep, and he will stay in that 12th spot.
And just behind them, Matthew Cockram and Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar scrapping. You can never miss Pablo as he's out there. Penalty for Clement down in pit lane, as Shadi Ahmad then sneaks by Cockram then through the Villeneuve chicane. Turnison leaves all the room and will get up the freebie. There's contact between them. Cockram goes around for his troubles.
Oh, it's not into the road yet for that KISS car, but he's going to lose a lot of spots, and that was mighty close between himself and some of the other drivers. Unfortunately, if you get a little close in sim racing, it's a lot easier to wind up by the side of the road. As Tobias Nara still in a fight with Montejuano. The cars weaving back and forth, looking for an opening coming down into Aqua Minerale. I would not advise going side by side through here, but off of there as Montejuano goes a little bit deep, tries to defend the inside once again. Tobias looking around the outside, up into Alta, and has to back out once more.
Well, Montejuano has proven to be a very tricky customer to get by, as Nara in the mock-up Williams then looks at Cal Young trying to figure out a way through, dives on the brakes into Ravazza 1, locks it up and just about gets the clearance there, has to scramble all the way to the inside, can't get the drive and is going to have to wait again, and critically a pass for 4th place. And I want to note this because on the radio was Matt Kendall, Joe. He said to Aldris Valenteas, I'll let you have it if you're in a position to go and get it.
Interesting, and well, he just did it. Valenteas is now up into P4, making the pass into this corner, which Cal Young is able to do as well, and to shuffle himself up one more spot into 18th. So we got a number of drivers managing to make moves at a track that it's known to be tough to get by. Good to see. They've been resourceful out here, but you have to remember they have no electronic aids to help them. This is in the analog era of Formula One.
Yeah, there's no anti-lock brakes, there's no traction control, there's no case of electronic suspension or anything else that has been devised. This is old school. It's just you, your right foot, your left foot, your right hand and your left hand. That's all that stops you from going out of this race, is just how well you can control this position. Hisada, the Emperor of the Lotus, Hasuna Kote leading out there, James Barry second, Jack Davis Pickett third, holding pattern in the early stages of the race, and I think this is very wise. Keep yourself within a second, and you don't want to leave any opportunity for cars around you to fight you back.
Right now, Jack David Pickett holds the fastest lap, this time by with Valenteas making that pass. Looks like he is not going to be able to best that, but Togo Hisada has got to be thinking, I might need these two behind me soon, because if Adrius starts to pick up the pace now that he's in free air, he could join them. He is only off by about 4 seconds, and with plenty of laps left, he could run that down, although, yeah, there we see him in the background now.
He was slower than Jack Davis Pickett on his last lap, did a 1:31.6. It was a 31.4, 31.4, and 31.3 from your leading trio out there. So Aldrius, believe it or not here, Joe, is going to be told to get the hurry up message because he's not fast enough.
Yes, but like I said, he had to make that pass, so I wonder if that slowed him up just a little bit, having to go wheel to wheel with Kendall, although from what we understand, Kendall didn't fight too hard. Back to Shady Ahmad once again, still fighting with Summer and Tunison. Luke there sitting at the back of this train that is forming, being led by Mickey Friesen. So 5 cars, all line astern, and Shady going a bit too far over the curbs is not going to help his case.
It's certainly not, especially as he has the googly-eyed stare behind of Cookie Monster trying to get through. And on Easter Sunday, I suppose they are chocolate chip cookies that Luke Turnisson's trying to gather on through.
Without a doubt, maybe bunny shaped on top of things, as Jack David Pickett is going to attack Barry. Barry defends coming down into Tamburello. He will hold on to that spot for the time being. Togo Hisada starts to pull away because of it. Great over-under from JDS. Wheel to wheel coming into the Villeneuve chicane. Both together, and as they manage to make their way through, Jack David Pickett has done the unthinkable and passed into the second chicane.
Mark of a former champion, Jack David Pickett, making a move like that. That was very well executed. James Barry will know all about styles of racing like that. He races quite a lot in the Radical SR10s on iRacing, so he has a big understanding of car control and who makes what. And I think at some point he had to let go, because if he didn't, it's going to be more than 1.6 they find themselves behind.
Exactly. So live to fight another day. Hope that they've got the speed to catch back up, especially since JDS still has that fastest lap. To your point earlier, it does look like Valenteas was about 0.2 quicker. So he has picked it up a little, but he's going to have to keep chipping away like that.
Yeah, this is very much a case of an artisan working on tools as Cal Young making good progress. He's now up then into 16th position in this race. 4 retirees from the start, which is Raul Rosses Guardia, Carlos Peralta, Marco Nurmela and Michael Taylor, who was very upset that he slowed down to try and avoid the incident at the start and got ran over to get things sorted. Young down the hill at Ravazza. I think he's looking at just anything he can get his hands on. He started 13th, got involved, fell back to 17th, and now he's going to try and get himself back to 13th again. Not terrible off of the start of this race, but for a driver like Cal, who is lightning fast in GTOs, as Nara goes side by side here now with Montejuano as the Latin American battle continues itself over to turn 2 at Tamburello. Battle on the brakes is going to be won by Nara then as he finally gets his pass. I have to note that Cal Young, for having the number 5 car out there, his pace here in the Lotus 79, I think is a little down on what he'd be hoping for.
Yeah, it's going to take a bit of a hit on his iRating if he finishes where he is, but he's certainly looking like he's up for the fight. Same thing with these two, starting to see a bit of a rivalry form as they can't seem to get away from one another during this race. For now, Tobias will hold the upper hand with that 18th. Sets his sights on Shady Ahmad as long as he keeps it within the track boundaries.
And it's so easy to run wide here. You think you can attack these corners. You can't. You have to play between the lines. And I'll be very honest with you, Joe. I wouldn't be surprised to see a driver or two today actually pick up incident point limit and end up with a drive-through penalty at the end of today.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. We've had a couple drivers in the pits, as you mentioned, some retired already. Lucas Clement, I believe, one of those that has served a penalty as it is. Jack David Spickett with another fastest lap of the race. He's got it back down to about 1.1 seconds on Togo Hisada. We're still watching Sergio Fernandez as he tries to keep up with Gabri Martinez.
Gabri is one of those drivers who you just can't seem to look away. He's got the likes of the Aaron Vasquez gene or the Govan Keeney gene out there, which is, I am lightning fast, but you don't know what I'm going to do next. Cal Young lining up Cookie Monster for a move, and there's Pablo Rodriguez Joglar in trouble, and the mean green machine ultimately points the wrong way at Tamburello.
Unfortunately, looking a little bit more like artificial grass in an Easter basket today, so he'll get it back on the circuit. He'll get going, but that cost him as Cal Young now moves up to 15th from that misstep. Next is Luke Tennyson, just in front of him, looking to try and size him up, but it's hard to pass into the Piratella corner. So he's going to have to wait till a little bit later. Sparks flying off the car as they bottom over those curbs.
Yeah, they're going to be running this as low as they possibly can, cutting through and trying to get off the exit up the hill. Young will know he doesn't quite have the drive compared to Turnison, and this is why I think Imola is such an amazing track. You can't just make a move when you feel like it. You have to scout it out. This is a thinking driver's circuit.
Really is. We saw that with modern Formula One showing up here a couple times before. Unfortunately, they've had to leave again. But Cal Young still looking good here in this part of the circuit. In fact, we've seen this before out of him, coming off of Ravazza very well and using that slipstream. This is pretty much the only long straight you've got over the course of the lap. No defense from the Dutchman, and it looks like the UK driver is going to manage to easily take it without even having to outbrake him.
Not much of a sweat for Cal Young there. He got the run, he got the ability, and now he can try and run away to Hans Sommer, to Mickey Friesen, to Antti Lavoska out there who can all decidedly wheel out there in a race like this. Valenteius in fourth, and that gap to James Barry, it is stuck at 3 seconds there or thereabouts. 31-2, played 31-2, played 31-2, played 31-4 over the course of that lap. And if there is any weakness in the Aldrius arsenal, it is this Lotus 79. It's taken him so long to get to a position where he can consistently go and win races, and this would be a field that I would argue over last season is slightly easier, because last season you had Pauli Partanen, you had Jacob Reed who could go out there and win races. This is for the Lotus 79s You argue about 49s maybe hitting a tiny slump. You argue that GTO is in its different era and now needs something slightly more. This is the best fields that we have seen in a number of years here in the 79s. And you argue there's no Gernot Fritzsche either.
You know what? I didn't even think of that until you said something just now. He is mysteriously absent today, so wherever you are, Gernot, we're thinking of you. But Togo Hisada is thinking of forward because he's lost another tenth or two, about a tenth and a half, I think, over Jack David Spickett, who has been reeling him in bit by bit. JDS is making sure that Togo will have to race for this one. Remember, these cars can change their complexion and handling over the course of the race because of the fuel burning off and the rubber going down. Is JDS got a car that is better late in the run?
Well, I just think he's got a car that's better full stop at the moment. He's just been mired by grid position, unable to get by some drivers around. And Togo, we do note here, Joe, runs a car that is traditionally loose. If you ask Togo Hisada, why is your car so loose when you go out there and try and drive it, he goes, actually, I think that's pretty tight of a setup for me, is what he typically goes to say. So if you look around at a Togo Hisada tight setup and go, oh my goodness, it is sideways almost everywhere, you panic when you go, what's a Togo Hisada setup when he feels it's loose?
Exactly. And I wonder if that means that he's taken quite a bit of wing out of it, if he does consider this one loose, because he'll need that right here, all the way down to the braking of Tamburello. If he's got the straight line speed, it'll be harder for Jack to try and pass him, but he cut down another tenth once again, as he's got it down to 0.7 of a second now. He's getting bigger and bigger in the mirrors. So Togo, no doubt, is going to be aware of this threat.
I'm looking at the way he drives, Joe, and Togo is later into the corner than Jack David Spickett. Jack is smooth right now. Togo is very angular. He drives it into the corner. He really gets the rotation in. He drives it like a modern Formula One car, whereas Jack David Spickett drives this very much like a stately sedan by comparison. It is very much a case of Jack's smooth style is bringing him back closer, but Togo knows that if he's going to get the best grip out of the tyres and he wants to get the heat in exactly the right areas, he's got to generate the cornering.
Looking back at Ross Banfield once again, sitting in this 8th spot. He's also not been having the greatest of races. He's down 3 from where he began. But Saul Fernandez go a little wide there coming through the chicane, so I wonder if this is another opportunity for Ross to try and set him up. Martinez sitting above the pair of them, hoping that they probably battle to give him a chance to try and run away, because he's been unable to separate from them as well.
Yeah, and so you're getting the sense that, okay, this group now, which is fighting in and around the top 10, they're still looking at good points out of today. Martinez, Fernandez, Banfield, and they are no slouches. These are drivers who consistently can go and win races on their days, but they are 10, 11, 12 seconds back, as now Hans Sommer is going to be the one under pressure. Here comes Cal Young again, marauding over towards Tamburello, trying to go around the outside and not finding the move, needing to cut back and needing to cut back again. He knows that the car doing the donkey work at the front is Mickey Friesen, like this is a cycling race like de Ronde van Vlaanderen here today. And it's worth noting this circuit did host in 2021 the UCI Cycling World Championship, won by Julian Alaphilippe.
Would be hard to cycle up some of these hills without a doubt, and he's all over the show right now, trying to find his way around Sommer, poking his nose left and right. Mickey Friesen, by the way, up 10 from the start of this race. He's had a phenomenal run up the order, and now it looks like he's getting a bit of a reprieve, because look at him scoot away from this pair.
Yeah, he's just starting to find that little bit of something that says, look, I'm going to be very happy with my chance to break away, dancing through the rights and lefts of the curve of Grassini, and now looking to push on along towards this. As now for the race lead, here comes JDS to the outside, trying to think of a way to get by Togo Hisada. They built the gap for 2 seconds to James Barry. Great run coming out the second part, and now here comes the look to the inside. JDS commands his apex. Look at that around the outside by Togo Hisada. He goes a mile deep. JDS picks it up and says, see you in the showers.
A little bit of shake and bake from the number 11 to get himself up to P1. That was an incredible move. Togo, I thought he did an amazing job defending for a brief moment, but just got too ambitious with that one. Does this mean that Jack's going to continue to run away? I was trying to figure out how he managed to catch him so quickly, and I think that was just an amazing lap because Togo didn't look all that slow. It's just Jack. I think his lap was something like 4/10 quicker than the previous time around.
Joe, I think that's not a Pepsi livery. Oh, big slide there by Togo Hisada. I don't think it's a Pepsi livery there on Jack David Spickett's car. I think if you just shake it off, you'll see it's a Pepsi Max.
He's going to want to try and not be like Pepsi Man and run into a wall here because he's got a great car. He's got a lot of speed, but he's got 11 to go, so it's not done by any stretch of the imagination. James Barry, I think he's also cutting in on Togo Hisada. So he's hoping maybe he could jump up into second, even if he can't keep up with Jack David Spickett. And poor Andreas Valenteus, I say poor, he's had plenty of good results. He's just not catching him today. It is up to these three instead.
Look, Andreas isn't slow. He's not a slouch. In fact, he was the quickest of all 4 drivers on that last go around. But if you qualify a car in 8th position and expect to win the race here at Imola, you're asking for a miracle. You know, you only have to go to 2005, Joe, to look at what Fernando Alonso did to Michael Schumacher, who started in 13th. You can hug the middle of the road, you can defend, you can really struggle to make these moves. Tough circuit to go and make it all work together, and with just 10 laps to go on what is a sprint-style format, good luck chasing down those drivers at the front. Here's Ilka Kotosalo, though, further back for 20 seconds, sorry.
Yep, and it looks like Alvarez is going to come out on top in that fight into P22. And as they weave their way through the chicane, like we said, there's still lots of racing yet to happen today, so he can try and fight him back if he needs. You can see they're still being chased by Jean-Francois Boscas in the background, hoping to keep up with them. The fields really hasn't separated with this being only 2 splits. It has stayed quite tight, and I think we still have 26 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's done well, actually, today to have 26 on the lead lap. You've still got 29 cars running out there because Taylor and Peralta have both got back out at 9 and 10 laps adrift. So they're desperate for anything out there. And really, I think everyone's been quite well behaved. It is a long circuit at a minute and a half as they run on through, but we still got every car within about a minute 7 at this moment who are on the lead lap. Hisada still there in second, trying to do what he can. He's already on Easter Monday out there at this point, but I would look at the way this field has gone. They have turned up and said, really big turn of pace needed, and everyone's got at least that.
Oh, you wondered about when we'd see a black flag? How about David Montejuano being the first victim we've seen today have to come in and serve a penalty. So too many incident points will set him backwards, unfortunately, as he rolls by one of our cars still sitting in the pit lane taking repairs.
Well, he's averaging 1 a lap, Joe. If he continues on this rate, he'll be disqualified on the last lap.
Hopefully he can clean that one up then. Must be a corner that he isn't quite that good at. How about Cal Young? He's got up to Mickey Friesen. They passed Hans Sommer, and Han is, well, practically dropped off them. He's already a 1.5 seconds behind. So now it is 1v1. Once again, quite wide there from Mickey Friesen. You have got to be careful, Jake, because you can get a slowdown out of that corner.
You can. It's so easy to do if you push a little bit wide. And the fact that these two, despite fighting each other away, would that mean that Han is so low behind?
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment on that one. But Mickey here in the 18, he's looked vulnerable this lap. We've seen a couple mistakes out of the corners, struggling, maybe overdriving the car a bit. Now he's off the apex, coming out of Ravazza 2. Cal Young, with one of his strengths, is capitalizing on that. and he is breezing by. Didn't even really need the slipstream.
Yeah, he could even wave out the cockpit if he wanted to say, look, I've got more in a straight line than you. Easily gets the pass. Antti Lavoska will be next up on the list. 8 laps to go and chase that down if at all possible. So this is a really good run from Cal Young. He's just been slicing and dicing his way through, making the passes and not really over pushing it, Joe. I think he's just been taking the opportunity that's there. And speaking of which, I want to note that Matt Kendall here is being slowly reeled in by Gabri Martinez, Ross Banfield and Sergio Fernandez.
Yeah, it hasn't really been a stunner for Matt. He's lost a position since the start, but he has at least held that station for some time. How about Tobias Nara, though? Up 13 from where he began. I think he was, one of those that failed to set a qualifying time, so that certainly started him off on the back foot, but he's not letting it slow him down. We saw him in a fight for much of this race. Now, he's finally getting a chance to focus on himself because there's really nobody around.
No, and so for Tobias Nara, he will now focus on his driving speed. 3 seconds to Shadi Ahmad in front, 3 seconds to Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar behind. So at least right now that is confidence. The Repsol livery of Shadi Ahmad down the hill into Ravazza. I tell you what, Joe, I want one of those houses down at Ravazza. If I had a dream house, it's there. What a back view, garden view you'd have on the balcony looking out at racing, perfection for free.
Exactly. I've always wondered that when you see that here in the sim or on TV, and there's often viewers up on that balcony. It probably goes for a pretty penny, but Ahmad's not thinking about that right now. He's still looking to try and get those laps in. Unfortunately, has lost touch with Tunnison and just can't seem to keep up with him. So he'll try and keep Nara behind as long as Tobias doesn't have enough pace to catch him. Let's see what the last laps look like between them. Looks like Tobias was quicker by about 0.3. Now this is Christoph here in 9th. The number 19 on his car. We talked about Cal Young maybe losing a little bit of I-rating. Christoph is going to gain a good chunk.
Well, if you start 10th, you're in 9th. Elena Jacques is having a really wonderful day out there compared to the likes of those who are maybe a bit further mired down. Kartik Pai's another one, number 6 driver into today. He's 10th. At this point, but that's still good there for Kartik Pai, top 10. Oh no, just we said that, Joe. That one's on you. You owe him a drink.
Well, he's got himself moving. I guess I'll have some wine, I suppose, with it being Easter, as Christoph gets back on the track. Another driver that had a bit of a spin was Ricardo Martinez. He's our latest to get the black flag. It was unfortunate. It was all on his own that happened, so nobody to blame but himself for going over the limit.
Yeah, and that's the key. You can so easily push wide, and once you make one mistake and you lose flow state around this circuit, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, it's 5 off tracks that you can find in a lap. So very simply, and you can see he's really having to fight for the rotation into the middle of the corner. So very tough out there, and if you're trying to hold on to it there, that's a case of hope that you got it all sorted. Worth noting as well, the drive-through penalty, Joe. This is one of the longest pit lanes in iRacing.
It is, and part of it is the fact that once you're past the pit stalls, you have to keep going. They don't have the exit cones until well after the pits itself ends, so it's just kind of added pain onto things. There you see, yeah, just how long it is. He's past where cars would be coming in to take service, and it looks like he might be just retiring it for the day as he's already well down the order.
Yeah, not a shock there. If you've got nothing to race for, you're not going to gain anything more by being out there. It's going to be tough to try and get more. Jack Davis Pickett fastest lap with 5 laps to go. He's really trying to break away from Togo Hisada, just leave zero opportunity out there. Cal Young just eating into this gap right now of Antti Lavoska. Took, get this here, Joe, about 0.7 of a second on that last lap. Elena Jacques just in front as well, makes it a 3-car train. And oddly, having Elena Jacques there in front might be Lavoska's saving grace.
How about another 0.8 that he has pulled in on the fin? Cal is looking super quick. So yes, he didn't have a great start to this race. What a rebound it has been. Oh, big mistake, unfortunately, from Christoph. That's going to lose him 1 and 2 in a single straightaway.
I think he's got damage on the rear wing, Joe. Remember, he just barely tapped the rear as he went off in his spin. I think Alenijak is struggling with putting the power down on the exit. I don't think he's getting the downforce he wants. Look, you can see it. It's twisted.
He has, in fact, got it twisted today, so that's going to put him in 12th. Mickey Freeze in the next one, starting to catch up to him. Cal Young, he wants one more. He is not going to settle just for P11. A top 10 maybe on the cards for the number 5, as Lavoska will try and guard him up to the Alta chicane. Cal decides not worth trying it right here. I think I know exactly where he's waiting for.
Well, Tamburello, first and foremost, but if you can be sneaky about it, you might get a lunge down the inside at Ravazza for your troubles. That could be a great place to get it done. Jams on the brakes then, looking for this left. No lockups from either, but Cal Young hits the apex perfectly. Lavoska needing the run through Ravazza too, and off along this main straight. I think Cal's got a wonderful turn of speed once again. Tucks up underneath. He's got that car as slippery as you like, breezing through here through turn 1.
And another one for the number 5. He is now into 10th. Looks like Friesen also got by Christoph coming into that same corner. So this is damage limitation mode for the 19, doing his best to bring it home these final 4 laps. That next one back, that is Hans Sommer.
Yeah, so another one behind, so Friesen will know that that's where it's going to be. You've also got Ross Banfield here, half a second behind Gabri Martinez, who has actually done really well today. He's up 3 spots. Ross Banfield is down 2. Gabri has driven well within his means. I haven't seen a single mistake out of him. The only issue is he hasn't quite been able to reel in Matt Kendall. So this is tough for Gabri Martinez. P6 though, I think this is still a really good result for him today at the moment.
I agree. He's up 3 from where he began. He's under a little bit of a threat, but he could see it off before this race is over. Up ahead of them, that is Matt Kendall, and that's a lap car that they're going to be overtaking shortly. Looks like they're just going to stay off to the side. I think that's Lucas Clement, who has managed to return to the track with a little bit of damage on the car. Up into Tamburello. Ross did not get the run he needed.
No, and of course, when you don't get that run, you start turning around looking at opportunities, because in racing, Joe, I think it's very simple. Old Father Time is undefeated.
Lavoska coming back at Cal Young, and as he takes a little bit of a look, he reconsiders. So Cal's got a little bit of a harder nut to crack on that one. Another one, as Christoph is going to fall to 14th now. And Sommer is going to get up to P13. Luke Tennyson, he's within about a second and a half. What does Christoph's laps look like? 134s. Yeah, unfortunately, I think Luke's going to get him on this lap.
Yeah, Cookie Monster sees a cookie, and you know what happens when that happens. So Alenijak here is going to have to try and hope that he can understand the car a bit more, knows where he can push with the limitations a bit more. How about a look to this guy? He's almost isolated right now, 7 seconds clear of Matt Kendall, but 3.3 behind James Barry. This is a tough one to see for Aldris Valenteas. It's not often that you get to say this, Joe, that this guy who has been racing in sim racing for well over a decade and a half can't get a podium in a race like this.
And again, as you pointed out, that is a testament to the skill level in the 79s. We've said it many times that this is one of the most highly skilled series that you'll race in officials in iRacing. Some incredible talent out here, as James Barry is amongst those with his nearly 6,000 I rating. He's going to get a nice haul of points today if he just brings it home for 2 more laps. He's got a handy gap over Valenteas. Poor Clement, who we just saw earlier, has also has been the latest to fall victim to that black flag, unfortunately, for too many incident points.
Very tough to deal with. Not much you can do about it. His hand was dealt pretty early on, so he's been fighting against the curve, so to speak, as Hisada has actually done really well to keep Jack David Spickett at 1.1 seconds. He hasn't been able to relax in the number 11, Joe. He's just been looking at this race and going, right, I still have to drive at 10 tenths, otherwise Togo's in.
Yeah, he's making sure that this is not an easy romp to victory for Jack David Spickett, but it's still been an impressive one as he gets ready for the white flag. Considering he started this in third, he was not even on the front row. He fought his way past both James Berry and Togo Hisada, and with one lap to go, he's about to add to his tally of victories.
But if he wants to add to that tally, he is going to have to just drive a perfect final lap as he pushes a slightly bit wide out to Tamburello. The Villeneuve chicane, fast entry in through turn 5, then through turn 6, you've got to attack. Short shoot run to Toza. Very easy to spin the tyres here as you look to climb the hill on the exit. It's why it's the underrated corner, and he had to catch a slide of oversteer on the exit because the car was threatening to try and do that. Up over the top then of Piratella, he will try and focus on through, and at the moment that gap 1.1, 1.2, he's got the magic formula. This is the last big scary moment on the track. Aqua Minerale gets through it, no problem. Jack's on the way back.
Just one more chicane, and then he's got to navigate Ravazza, and he'll add to his tally of wins. 7 would be the number for this one. Just lets it ease out of that chicane across the AstroTurf, and then spotting yourself down the plunge. It's a little bit blind into here for the double apex left-hander. Look at the car rotate. He looks really in control here. He knows how to be fast in this thing. Jack David Spickett, lucky number 7 for him as he takes his first win of the season.
It's a really commanding victory. He's done very well. Togo Hisada, no slouch there in second, and James Barry, a very nice third place to go. Can I just point out, Joe, that Jack David Spickett has taken off the honorary Finnish flag. He went back to the British flag and has now won the race.
All right, so claiming a home country win, I guess you could say, for himself. Cal Young, he did hold off Lavaska. And again, even though I'm sure he would have liked a little bit better, I think Cal should be proud of the way he fought through the field and still actually gained from where he started on this race to get this top 10. So nice run from the Brits. Behind him, Tobias Nara is going to be our biggest mover, up 13 spots to finish in 17th. And he also had to make a few passes for it.
Yep, he had to work really hard today, did Tobias, and so he'll be happy with those 13 spots gained. The last few drivers will make their way over towards the line. They'll go all as back as far as David Montejuano and Ilka Cotasalo, but this one is going to be about the what might have been, I think, for some drivers in qualifying, rather than the what they're going to have. And they're going to look around to next week and go, right, how do we rectify it?
And I got to say, Montejuano managing to put himself on the lead lap in spite of that penalty is also a great job by the 27 car. As we are going to go through our finishing order, and we did not see a triple crown today, but we certainly saw great racing, especially from Jack David Spickett, your winner. Togo Hisada will settle for second as James Berry was P3. Then it was Adrius Valenteus who takes a fourth, 10 seconds behind. That's how quick they were at the front. Matt Kendall was P5, Gabriel Martinez was 6th, and Ross Banfield 7th. Then it was Sergio Fernandez finishing P8 today. Karthik Pai, bit of a quiet but strong 9th. And Cal Young, an encouraging 10th.
Over the page then to 11th, where Antti Lavoska would lead as the best Nissan livery out there. Not often you can beat Mickey Friesen in a Nissan livery. Hans Sommer ends up 13th, which is lucky for some, as Luke Turnerson then is just behind that. Christopher Lenishak had damage to the rear wing. That's why he dropped back as far as 15th. He just managed to finish ahead of Shadi Ahmad by 3/10, as Tobias Nara and Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar would be 17th and 18th. Your top 20 rounded out by Antonio Alvarez and Alec Cunningham.
Jean-Francois Boscus was 21st, as it was Ilka Cotasalo finishing in 22nd. David Montejuano, the last one on the lead lap. Matt Cockrum was 24th, and Martin Riesman, another one that had a black flag out there, he was 25th. Lucas Clement, 2 laps down in 26th, and then you get to your DNFs with Ricardo Martinez, Carlos Peralta, Michael Taylor, Raul Guardia, and Marco Nurmela here today. And it looks like we've got our second place finisher here to chat with us, Togo Hisada. Let's see how he felt about how today went. Togo, it wasn't a win, but it looked like in the second half of the race, Jack just seemed to have a little bit better pace than you.
Yeah, completely mislead. Because wind direction is very different. This actual race today is completely opposite way that we practice the practice races. So maybe something we set up, maybe something is driving, I don't know, but just simply I'm not fast enough to battle with Jack. And I could, I did as I did my best, but a little bit not enough today.
Well, let's talk about that defense too. You went super deep into that second chicane. Was that an intentional attempt to keep him behind, or was that a mistake?
It's a mistake. He's coming to me very close. His lap time is like a 2/10 faster than me every single lap at that stage of the race. So I'm a little bit too much pressure, too much looking mirror, too much a little bit too far deep to the skein.
Well, still 2 podiums on the weekend in the broadcast races. Not too shabby. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Was Togo Hisada, which unfortunately looks like we don't see Jack David Spickett here to chat with us. I would have loved to hear his thoughts, but a good one here today, Jake. And like we said, pretty entertaining.
Imola brings it. This is why, in my view, this is the best circuit in the world. It's a true driver's circuit. You need a real understanding of how you go about making each turn, and every corner asks a different something out of the drivers, out of the car. And so you've got to truly be at one. If you understand this circuit on a base level, yeah, you can be fast. But if you truly understand the car at an ornate level, Joe, you can see just time spiral up for you in terms of what you need. This is the sort of track where being fast and being super fast is the difference of a full second.
And it looks like we're going to wrap this one up for today with a happy Easter to all of our viewers, but don't binge on too much chocolate. Thank you, of course, goes out to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, as well as to our team today, Jake, Daniel, and Dougie, for all your hard work behind the scenes. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a moment, because the next race out going to be Interlagos here in the Sunday Grand Prix series. That'll be April 12th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Up next on the channel, we do have the Porsche Owners Club going to the Hungaro Ring. Be sure to check out all of our other broadcasts that we've got listed on your screen. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.